Skipping rent amid COVID-19, WeWork hitting pause on paying rent at some of its U.S. locations. Staples says it stopped paying rent at all of its stores across the country. Steve Moore, I want to bring you in to get your reaction, because this could be a dangerous game these companies are playing.
You better believe it. And by the way, it's not just big companies. Well, I have a good friend, Cheryl, who owns about 500 apartment rental units. And she was telling me the other day that on March 15th, rent payments just fell bang to zero. So in other words, people aren't paying their rents, partly because a lot of states have basically said you can't be evicted during this time of crisis. So people see that as an invitation not to pay the rent. Now, why that's a problem is how does this flow through the economy? Now she doesn't have the rental payments. She can't pay the mortgage on the buildings. She can't pay the banks. This is the kind of thing that's ricocheting throughout the economy. It's why I keep shouting from the mountaintops. We got to get the economy reopened so people have some income, so they can pay the rent, so that the people who own the buildings can pay the banks. And until that happens, we're going to continue to see a big slide in the economy.
Mattie, I mean, that is the question mark. Not just for look at apartment REITs. You can invest in apartment REITs. You can invest in commercial REITs. I think the commercial retail space is going to be problematic after this is all over.
Well, and this is why the Paycheck Protection Program is so important. This was passed as a part of the CARES Act. It's the additional $150 billion that the Senate is trying to pass today, because that actually allows small business owners to use those funds to pay their rent, to make sure that they're not going into default on those kinds of fixed costs that they have. And of course, that only applies for employers who have fewer than 500 employees. Today, as you heard with the senator earlier, tomorrow, those funds become available for self-employed persons. So perhaps that would offer some relief to someone like Steve's friend there. But that kind of support from the government is so important. It's why we need to see those loans continue to go out the door so small businesses can make those payments and there's not that cascading effect throughout the economy.
Yeah, and keep their workers employed. I mean, and keep so that those people don't have to default on their rent in their home. This is a trickle-down story. Guys, thank you very much. We are going to come right back, everybody. Mornings with